I should have known the second I walked into the lobby of Arden Financial, you know? The way the receptionist barely glanced up from her phone, her tone clipped when she said, "Can I help you?" Like I'd wandered in off the street to use the bathroom, not interview for a senior analyst role. But hey, I'd prepared for worse. I handed over my ID and my resume, put on my best smile. That one I save for situations where I'm already at a disadvantage. She gave me the kind of once-over that tells you she's looking for some invisible flaw, then gestured toward a bench by the wall. "Wait over there. We'll call you." And just like that, I was furniture. I watched as she offered coffee to the next candidate, a white guy in a wrinkled button-down, and then chatted with him like he was an old friend. My stomach twisted, but I kept my face neutral, just sat there with my hands folded, pretending not to notice. But I did. I always do. There was a security guard making his rounds, and even though he'd already checked my ID, he doubled back and asked to see it again, scanning me up and down like I was planning to steal a stapler or something. I handed it over, tried to keep my jaw unclenched. "Company policy," he said, but I saw the smirk as he walked off. I felt it, that little drop in temperature, that sense that I was already in the wrong place. The other candidates, well, they watched. Some looked at their phones, a few kind of snickered. The big glass windows, the polished floors, everyone dressed in business casual. But beneath it all, it felt like I'd walked into a private club where the rules were made to keep people like me out. When the hiring manager finally came out, Graham, his name tag said, he didn't even look at me at first. He went right to the white guy, shook his hand, called him by his first name, joked about last night's game. Then he turned to me, eyebrows raised. "You here for the courier position?" he said, and I had to swallow my pride just to say, "No, I'm here for the senior analyst interview." He looked at his clipboard like he expected to find my name on the wrong list. "Huh. Well, come on then," he muttered, turning on his heel. I followed, feeling eyes on my back. In the interview room, it was worse. Graham kept cutting me off, rushing through my answers, barely giving me a chance to finish a sentence. When I tried to explain my experience with urban development funds, he interrupted. "Do you really understand the analytics we do here?" The other candidates, all white, all men, started answering questions I wasn't even asked, and Graham let them. At one point, Amanda, the receptionist, brought in a tray of coffee, handed it out to everyone, then just skipped me, like I was invisible. I caught one of the guys looking at me with this mix of pity and smugness. I felt my ears burn, but I didn't let my voice crack when I said, "Excuse me, could I get some water?" Amanda rolled her eyes, set down an empty cup with no ice, and left without a word. I looked at that cup, at my hands shaking a little, and wondered why I even bothered. But I needed this job, so I held it together. I thought, don't give them an excuse to call you angry or say you're overreacting. It's not new, this balancing act. Don't react, don't flinch. Just survive the next hour. Graham passed out the case studies for the technical assessment. He handed me the thickest folder, glanced at me, and said, "Let's see how you handle the pressure." The others got simple scenarios. Mine was a maze of numbers, deadlines, risk factors. I read through it, biting the inside of my cheek. It was deliberate. He wanted me to fail, wanted to prove I didn't belong. As I worked, I could hear Amanda outside the glass door whispering to the security guard, "He's probably lost." I tried to focus, ran the numbers in my head, wrote down my conclusions. Careful, neat. Every so often, Graham would lean over my shoulder, sigh loudly, check his watch. "You got 5 minutes, Williams," he said, just loud enough for everyone to hear. The other candidates looked over at me, some smirking, one guy actually shaking his head like he felt sorry for me. Whatever. I finished my work, double-checked my math, and turned it in on time. We were sent back to the lobby to wait. My chest was tight, not just from nerves, but from this thick, sticky anger I couldn't show. The receptionist avoided my eyes. Graham talked to the white candidates in hushed tones, laughing, then turned and glared at me as if daring me to say something. The security guard walked by again, lingering too long. I caught a young intern, Emily, her badge said, glancing at me, then away, like she knew what was going on but was afraid to get involved. Suddenly, Tom, another manager, marched up and loudly asked if I was lost, if I needed directions to the service entrance. I forced a smile, said no, but inside, something broke. Right then, Ms. Evans, the COO, walked in. She had this energy, cool, sharp, not wasting time. She paused when she saw me. Graham started to usher her away, but Emily, that intern, suddenly spoke up, voice trembling. "Ms. Evans, I think you might want to hear about Jordan's project at the City Development Fund. It was in Finance Monthly last month." The whole lobby went silent. I almost laughed, because the irony was so thick you could slice it. Ms. Evans turned to me, curious now. "That was your work?" she asked, and I nodded. "Yes, ma'am. I designed the bond structure for the South Side revitalization." Her eyes lit up. She started asking real questions, technical stuff, no dumbing down. I answered. For the first time all day, I felt my confidence coming back. I talked numbers, impact, risk spreads, all the things I'd actually done. Ms. Evans listened, nodded, then turned and asked Graham, in front of everyone, why she hadn't seen my resume until now. Graham stammered, said something about HR sorting. Amanda blushed and looked away. The lobby was dead quiet. Ms. Evans didn't play around. She asked me into her office, just me. In private, she apologized, said, "I'm sorry for how you were treated. I value results and initiative. If you're willing, I'd like to discuss you leading the new project we're launching." My hands shook, not with fear, but with relief, and maybe a little vindication. She explained that she'd heard of my work before, but the staff had never forwarded my application. I didn't have to ask why. We walked back out together, and she called in Graham, Amanda, and Tom, right there in the middle of the lobby with a dozen people watching. She said, "What happened today isn't just rude. It violates our policies. Amanda, you're on probation and will be retrained immediately. Tom, your conduct's under review with HR. Graham, you're on administrative leave while we investigate your handling of these interviews." Nobody said a word. Even the security guard looked away. I could see the shock, the embarrassment, the way they tried to shrink into their shoes. The other candidates, well, suddenly, they were fascinated by the floor tiles. As I gathered my things, Emily, the intern, slipped me a note. "Congrats, it's about time they noticed." I smiled at her, a real smile this time. People started whispering, the news spreading fast. Some apologized as I left. Others just stared. It wasn't triumph I felt exactly, just this deep, tired relief. Like after holding your breath for too long and finally exhaling. I walked out into the city sunlight, the weight in my chest finally gone, replaced by a calm that felt almost dangerous. For the first time that day, I stood up straight, knowing I'd changed something. Maybe just for myself, maybe for the next person walking through those doors. And that was it. Graham never came back. I heard he lost his job after the review went public. Amanda? News got around, and nobody trusted her with front desk again. Tom faded into the background, transferred to another office. Rumor was he's stuck on the night shift, counting supplies. The company had to issue a statement after the story leaked. A real investigation. Diversity training, all that. Reporters called, and for once, the headlines weren't about my failure, but about the mess they made by judging too quickly. I didn't celebrate, didn't gloat, just walked away, silent, letting the city noise swallow me up. It wasn't justice, not exactly, but it was something. A quiet win, a circle closed. And maybe, just maybe, the next time someone like me walks in, they'll think twice before looking through us like we're invisible. Maybe that's enough for now.